Welcome. This lesson will teach you to call an SDK method to display a rating request window. What's it about? You can make a pop-up window asking the user to rate your game and write a comment. The pop-up can be configured to appear at any point in the game. The rating is displayed in the game's catalog and is visible to all players. So at what point in the game should we ask users to rate? It's up to you, really. Exercise a case-by-case approach. A good placement would be right after some positive event. Let's do the following. We have this canvas and window here. It pops up when the player wins or loses. Inside there's button next. I added another button, made it orange, and assigned to it the text, rate game. There. Now, the player has the choice of continuing to play, or rating the game. Now, we need to bind the rating window pop-up to this button. We've done something similar before. We call a function from Unity, which then executes in JavaScript and allows us to call a Yandex SDK function. Here's what we do. We have this Yandex object, go into the script and create a new method. We'll need the DLL import attribute again, you just copy-paste it. We'll call it rateGame. Speaks for itself. This method will be called when the user clicks the button. Now go here and similarly add a new method. Public void rateGameButton. Again, self-explanatory so there's zero confusion. This is the method that's called upon the button press, and it, in turn, triggers the external method. Now let's bind events to the button. Drag button, rate, to the inspector. Yandex, and rateGameButton. That's what's going to be called. By the way, the Yandex object will be present in all the scenes across the game, so you can move it to common. These prefabs contain objects that are reused in every level. Click Overrides, Apply All, and now it's applied for all the scenes. Moving on. Let's remember the name of this external method, rateGame. Now we add it to our JSLib file. Again, I'll copy an existing method to save us the trouble with the syntax. Change the name. So, what does this method do? Let's go to the Yandex documentation and see which function calls up the rating window. We're here. It's the game rating section. It's small and straightforward. The method itself looks like this. To ask the user to rate the game, use the ysdk.feedback.requestReview method. There's a warning here that says you can request a game rating only once per session. Also, you can't request ratings from players who are not logged in. That's why, before calling this method, we first need to check this canReview method. We do this by calling it, and if it returns a true value, we can call the requestReview method. You can just copy this piece of code that does the checking. If the user ends up rating the game, it outputs this message to the console. To be precise, it outputs feedback sent to the console. You can read more about this object and what it does here. It's a Boolean whose true value means the user has rated the game by clicking on the stars or whatever else, while false means the user has closed the pop-up without giving a rating. That informs us whether the rating has occurred or not. Doesn't tell us how many stars though. Highlight the entire snippet and copy it over to the rateGame method. Like that. This is JavaScript code. This is the Yandex SDK object, which we can now access from the JSLib file. That's how it's going to work. I think we're done here. Save the script. You can also experiment with these sendMessage methods. After the user rates your game, there can be additional events, like a thank you message or the rating request pop-up being closed. For now, let's keep it simple and leave it at this. Now, let's build our project. First, hide the finish window like that. Save and build. Like we've done many times before, send the archive to the Yandex console. Wait a few minutes, refresh the page, and there you go, the file is uploaded, and we can play the draft. Let's finish the level. We left in this green trigger. We should have just hidden it. The character didn't reach the very end of the level, but the window did appear. Now let's press Rate Game, which brings up this window. You can rate it, definitely 5 stars, if I say so myself. Also, leave a review. Something like, "More levels please." That's pretty much the kind of feedback you can expect. Click Send and presto. The game's been rated, and now, if we view its page, we'll see the comment and the rating. If we click Rate Game again, it won't do anything, because this window can only be displayed once per game session, just like it says in the documentation. A rating request window can be displayed at any point during the game. Try to make sure it doesn't interrupt the gameplay. Before serving up the actual rating window, prime the player with a message about why ratings matter. Always ask them if they'd like to leave a review. For developers, comments are a great tool to gauge user satisfaction with the game. Also, players will be sure to comment about any bugs they encounter.